Hello, my name is Ken Roberts, and I am the social media manager for this channel. As you can see, we are doing a project called DEATH'S VISAGE. We'll go more in depth with what the film is in this video, but I just want to let you guys know that we do Twitch stream every Tuesday at 7:30 or later. It depends on times of the interviews, and that we do have reruns of the streams on Saturdays. Also want to let you guys know that this video does have a little bit of lag on one of our interviewees, and the audio might be a little bit off, but once we get in there, it'll be all right. All right, and enjoy the video. Pointing to you guys. Let's start with you, Mark.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Mark Felbinger. I am the director, writer. I'm also a master's student at UCF. And yeah. Go ahead, Sammy.
That's your intro to Random Project.
Random Project.
I am a producer, co-director of Mark's thesis film, master's film, Death's Visage. I am Sammy Castillo. I am, in real life though, I am a 21-year published artist, illustrator, and writer, creator of many, many, many things that you probably know. Worked with DC Comics, Warner Brothers, Fox, Disney, Marvel Studios, tons of stuff. That's me.
Cool.
But on this, I'm an executive producer. And that's another executive producer, Oliver the Tank Castillo.
Yeah.
He's supervising.
So, since we're kind of reintroducing ourselves, I'll ask kind of like the same questions from last stream.
Sure.
So, I'll start with the first question. What made you want to do this project? And let's start with Mark, since you're the director and kind of like the head of the project. What made you want to do this film called Death's Visage?
Not Visage.
Not Visage. It's Visage. We always have to try to enunciate it properly. So the reason why I wanted to do this project is originally it was supposed to be a biographical film called The Reaper's Artist, and it was supposed to be a biographical docudrama that was telling how I met Sammy as well as her husband, Tommy Castillo, who I made this in his honor. It was one of his last wishes that he always wanted to be in his own horror film as the lead antagonist or creature. So that was one of the reasons. But originally it used to be a biographical film that I got sadly too emotionally attached to, as well as the COVID pandemic kind of halted a bit. Plus, I with Sammy's mentor and guidance, I actually try to make something a little bit more fun to do as like a first film, being a director. So, yeah.
Sammy?
Trying to remember what I said last time. Trying to be consistent.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to.
There's the person with terrible ADHD. I don't even remember what I said.
It's lost, so it can be brand new. Nobody will know.
Right? Except all the people that watched it last time. Then they're like, "There's so much." Well, you know, I didn't. I'm going to put it this way, which is a bit more honest than I think what I said last week. But I didn't really have a choice. Because Mark is my student. I am his mentor. And as a mentor, your job is to help them with whatever, to go with them on whatever journey they want to go on. So I gave Mark permission initially because he wanted to do something to honor Tommy, and I initially had no investment into it. Until he wanted more and more input, and then we talked about me taking on a producer role ultimately for this film. But I was just honestly initially just giving feedback, and it got to a point where you do, what a mentor does, and you have to, say some hard truths here and there, and 9 scripts later, you get Death's Visage. And so I had fun with it, again, because it was just one of those things that happened into my lap, so to speak. There was no plan on my part to be involved. So it's been an unexpected fun project for me.
Cool.
I know I didn't say that last time. I don't know what flowery, waxed poetic thing I said last time, but
Well, that's
Same
new.
here.
New content for viewers coming back.
yay!
Yeah.
So, so what inspired you guys to do this project? Since Sammy, you came into it, what was your influence on the project itself?
So, I'll answer the first part of that question. The reason this happened was because my late husband, Tommy Castillo, world-renowned artist unto himself, initially was Mark's mentor, and he passed away in 2017 due to complications of diabetes, and left a big hole in a lot of people's lives, of course, ours included. And Mark really wanted to do something to honor him. And so I wanted to be a part of it in the fact of I wanted to point it in a direction that sort of had the Castillo flavor to it a little bit. Had our studio flavor to it. And, of course, Mark's not going to know Tommy as well as I did. I was probably unhealthily with him 24/7 for nearly 10 years. So I knew him backwards, forwards, and inside out. So I wanted to make sure that what Mark wanted to do, regardless, was going to honor, his memory and have a bit of, Tommy personality to it, so to speak. And then what was the second part of that question? I lost it. Inspired me? What inspired me to do it? Is that it? Is that the second part? I think I kind of said it.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think you kind of said it, and then I forgot the second part of the question. So.
That's okay.
It was something about. I think it was something about influence. I think.
What was
the
what did I influence on the?
Yes.
Okay.
That
So my
was
influence on the film, initially, like I said before, was not supposed to be much of anything, just some consulting here and there. But eventually it became everything. I co-wrote the script with Mark. I mean, he did the heavy lifting, and then I helped refine, characters. For me, though, I helped a lot with pre-production concept and visuals to some degree, like what Mr. Painter looks like. And I'm also doing some paintings that are going to appear on the interior, and then also the movie poster. And while I'm listed as a co-director technically through the school, I did not actually do a lot of co-directing on set because Mark needed to, of course, learn, because that's his job doing this as a film student.
Yes.
That's my answer.
So what about you, Mark? What inspired you to do this project?
Pretty much so. What Sammy just said. Again,
No, you have to have your own answer. Don't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you have your own answers. From now on, he has to go first, and then I'll follow.
All right.
Jimbo, what kind of director is that? Whatever she said.
Oh, it's the same thing. What inspired me was, again, I wanted to honor Tommy Castillo, and I wanted to bring him into, as the antagonist. But other things that inspired me was actually the movie Coraline, Henry Selick's animated film Coraline. That inspired me in terms of having the main character be a female, as well as going through different alternate realities of in the same area, as well as having two different two different mothers, two different fathers, having two different personalities and outlooks. And then another part of influential was of Netflix's movie called Velvet Buzzsaw, which is about an art, kind of like art dealing, or art critics find these haunted paintings, and they become too greedy to the point that the paintings actually come to life and kill them in some form of art fashion. And so that was another inspiration as well. And then what else? What was the other question?
What was your influence on the film? But you're the director, so all of it.
I mean, I had a lot of other influences. I also was casting director. I was the writer. Did producing as well, because I had to get some of the props. I also had to become a voice actor, as well as a body double for one of our actors who unfortunately passed away during the middle of the production. And then I also became and then I also was an extra. I was actually
I was an extra too. That's right.
Yes, and Sammy was an extra. Actually, she has 3 cameos in the film.
Oh, right, because I'm the GPS voice too.
Yeah.
Cameo.
Your
at the
other
end,
cameo
on the street.
at the end. Right, but your other cameo was the newspaper. Your name is printed in the newspaper.
Right, yeah, that's right. That flowery.
Yes, that flowery, lovely little love letter.
Derek wrote
my
up.
Dearest Tommy.
My dearest Tommy. We gotta put. That's got to be in the BTS. We'll have to put that up in social media.
Yes.
Well, remind me to talk about that during the other question about the funny BTS stuff.
Yes.
And not the Korean K-pop band, but the behind the scenes.
Yes.
We like you too, BTS.
Yes.
Yeah, we know they're totally watching right now. All 7, including Jim.
All 7, yeah.
From the military.
Yeah.
He's got us on his live stream. Like, whoa!
Okay. Go ahead.
What's our next question?
So the next question, since you did talk about some struggles that happen on set with an actor passing away, what has been the hardest thing to do with this project?
Mark, you go first.
Mm-hmm.
You know you can't be trusted.
Wow. Okay. I would definitely say the hardest part, besides the passing of Justin, would be the pre-production. The pre-production was a huge struggle. Well, we had dropping out cinematographers. I had to find new cinematographers. I lost like half a crew, and I had to fire a former producer. And and she took away one of my locations that we were supposed to use. I had to get 13. I had to go through 13 actors as a casting director to find Michael. Eventually, it ended to the part of for Justin, which we'll talk about that. And then I also lost one of my original actresses after she lost her father since she was 11 or 12 years old, who felt very uncomfortable playing the role of Yumi, who is actually a deceased older biological sister of our main character Asami. So she felt very uncomfortable playing a deceased dead girl. So, but otherwise, that was the huge struggle, because we started the pre-production. What was it, like beginning of December? We didn't end until almost June. Like,
Yeah,
that's
everything was
how
squared.
long of a struggle.
Yeah, we had everything squared away, I think, in like by March, and then
Yeah,
we had just like
it
that
hit the
initial film crew with that producer, which actually pushed me into being a producer because I was not
Yeah.
supposed to be. But that pushed me into taking over as a producer and co-director, so that I could help with a lot of the stuff going on and have the authority, through the school,
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
And another challenge too was this. We also had to deal with the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
We had a lot of restrictions with the school. We had a lot of guidelines that we had to follow. Even the school's UCF's film insurance, that was a big of a struggle too. To what we could do, what we can't do.
Yeah.
And then another thing is trying to make sure that we kept like the two locations that we still had, which was my current residency, which is my grandparents' retirement home, and then also the apartment complex, or the apartment that we were just using just for the outside alone. But otherwise, it was just hard trying to keep making sure we had everything intact. We had the crew. We could not lose any more crew members. I mean, I've lost production designers, and then finally, Sammy had to actually take over a little bit, actually, part of the production designing.
Yeah, I took over a lot of the creative stuff.
Right.
Costume. I took over costume design. What else? Props, set design.
Yeah.
I mean, I made an entire attic scene in his garage with some shelving and carpet and whatever else I could find, because
Yeah.
initially we were supposed to use a crawl space. Well, and the first producer was allowing us to use a full attic, like nearly finished attic with a lot of space that a whole crew could be up there. And then
Right.
I know initially when I first came on board during filming, and there was a crawl space area up that in the house that we used for the film, most of the film set. It was not usable for filming. It was not safe, considering that Russell, our who plays Mr. Painter, is like 6 foot, nearly 6 foot, just over 6 foot, and I could hit my head on the rafting. So I made the decision to just, no, we're not doing that. We'll use part of the garage. So we had to redo a couple of scenes to get her into the garage appropriately, but that led us to some really cool shots, in the film later on, and it actually allowed us to do a lot more since we had more space, of course.
And initially, since we couldn't use the crawl space, actually Sammy brought up an idea at one point to actually make like an attic set.
Yeah.
So we were going to be like getting like some plywood. We were actually going to hopefully build the set, but because of our the low budget that we had, and also the
lumber prices during COVID skyrocketed, it was not feasible.
So we just created a imaginary art studio that only the children could see and only Asami could see, and then
it added a little bit more mysticism to it.
Yeah.
Because the parents, like what?
Couldn't see it. Yeah.
They couldn't see it, but the kids could interact with stuff. So It was a good one of those like hard but positive changes. There's, every film has its hurdles. I mean, for me personally, my hardest thing was, you know, was to my hands were tied because I have a lot of resources that I could have used for the film, professional resources, actors, friends of mine, production company people that I know. And the problem was that, I couldn't use those because it was for school. There was a very little budget and I couldn't bring on, all of these people because Mark needed to learn. Mark needed to learn how to put everything together, from start to finish. So for me, it was, I don't want to say it was frustrating, but it was hard for me sometimes to stop myself from giving the answers so that Mark could fall on his face and then I could tell him how to be better, or how to do it. But that's the whole purpose of him doing this film is he's gotta learn. So that for me was the hardest, was dealing with a lot of the school oversight. Even through Mark, like I barely directly dealt with the school, but I would say, well, let's A, B, and C. And Mark's like, well, I'm not sure, I have to go ask. And I'm like, why do you need to go ask? It's this simple thing. And, and then for one reason or another, it wouldn't, it's gray area kind of stuff. And he's like, well, let's just not do that. So that for me, the constant hand tying oversight of having to deal with the school and whatever requirements they deemed necessary, that was particularly frustrating. And I felt that in some ways it hampered the film and did not allow us to give what I think the potential of the film could. To be completely honest, I think it forced us to make not decisions what's good for the film, but so that Mark doesn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
And not that anything was unsafe or nothing like that. But I felt like we were making a film for a requirement, which I think, in my opinion, goes against the whole entire purpose of, doing a film, doing your film. But I digress.
Yes. Well, we got one user asking, what do you think are the most important elements within this film? And what message do you hope to convey to your audience?
Ooh, that's a good question. Mark.
That's a very good question. Okay, first, I'm going to do the first question. Okay, it was something about elements.
Repeat the first part of the question.
Yeah, repeat the first part of the
first
question.
part of the question is, what do you think are the most important elements within this film?
So, one of the elements in this film that I think is more important is the sound, because a lot of what I did with the script is I try to utilize more of the sound as a way of getting horror involved, like scary, like getting the tense, the dramatic, as well as getting that like the mystery. Like, where is the sound coming from? Why can, Asami, the main character, only hear this particular sound? And then it's also supposed to help drive, whoosh crackle. I was supposed to also like kind of drive her, like her character, insane in a way. So it kind of helped build that tension that she has with the rest of the family, as well as when she goes into the alternate world. The second element is the color. We have two different color palettes. In the reality, I wanted the colors to be kind of muted, like desaturated, and kind of almost like Coraline in a way. So if you ever watch Coraline, in the first part of Coraline, the colors are very like grays and undertones, and that's what I liked about that aspect. And then when you get into the alternate world or the painting world, it was very vibrant and colorful, almost very fake. And that was the whole point, is to try to get like this thing across, to be like, yeah, it's fake, but this could also be like a dream when you find out it isn't a dream, it's more like a nightmare. And then the third would be the of course, eventually later on, it would be the music that would kind of help drive more of the story. But also, I would say the acting. So a lot of our actors had to, besides Asami, or Darby, who is our main actress, she had to try to keep within that like questionable teenage age that she is.
Luckily,
And then
she was one, so we had no issues.
yeah. and then we had to like tell our actors and actresses who were playing the mother or the brother, to try to be like, okay, for the reality, you're kind of like dull, you're kind of like overworking, you're kind of like unsure of things, you're not always paying attention, and you're trying to not get in the middle or start conflict. And then when you get into the painting world, we got to literally tell them, saying, you have to smile. Like, you got to like put on that cheesy smile, put on that happy 1950s, family, and you got to keep it going throughout the whole time. So you just see in the film that they're just like, smile, smile. And they're just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then, of course, Sammy, and because she was also the first AD, she would also give a little tips and advice, and saying, well, maybe as Asami progresses in the painting world, the pitch goes higher and higher and higher, to the point that it gets more
panic,
like creepy and more unsettling, and so we had to keep trying to tell our actress who was playing the mother, as well as everybody else, to kind of keep going, let's keep the creepy
that
stuff.
smile back.
Yeah, bring that smile back. It's like, if we could like make everybody look like Jack Nicholson's Joker, or what's that game that deals with smiles, I guess, or even the Smile movie that just came out. Was it like last year or something? Yeah, how they made the smile like creepy.
Yeah, the pointed smile.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like we had to try to keep telling them, like, point that smile, point the smile,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually they liked it. It was just, you can tell it was getting to them because of their cheeks and all, and we're just like, you got it, keep going, make it creepy. So, and then what was the second question?
What message do you hope to convey to your audience?
That is a good question.
Don't step into scary paintings that you find in a garage.
Yes. I'd also say, kind of be careful what you wish for, because you will get it, and sometimes is not what you want or what you expect. Sometimes it can be a little bit.
Not always greener.
Yeah, I would probably say that. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest message, and simply that's because Asami always, she misses her sister, and in a way, she almost wishes that her sister was there with her foster family, and then she also wishes that her foster family, was a little bit better, had, was, not so, either busy or separated, or distant. So it was like a lot of things that she wished for, and then when she got it, that's where the creep factor and the, what's it called, the uncertainty, or the, of the painting world. So, and go ahead, Sammy.
Ditto.
Ditto. Yes.
No, those are good answers. I don't have anything in particular to add.
Cool.
So back to our regularly scheduled questions.
I can make some shit up if you want.
Go right
Sure,
ahead.
why not? Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
It's your floor now.
Right. Okay. So what were the questions again? What was the what now and the who?
So the first one
3 elements.
is what do you think is the most important element within this film? And the second question is, what message do you hope to convey to your audience?
So I will speak from a less creator standpoint and more on a technical creative side. Personally, the most creative or the most important element is definitely going to be the color palette and the visuals that you're going to see differentiating the two different worlds Asami has to deal with. Because you're going to get, of course, a real world, very desaturated, real world, and then the painting world is, of course, going to be that grass is greener, literally, where the vibrancy of everything is turned up to the point that it is a little jarring to your eyes. So for me, the visual of that, of course, is going to be that visual that's a make or break for the film, because without that, you're not going to understand what's happening. And then the second question was words that I forget.
What message do you convey to your audience?
I don't really have a message.
From a producer standpoint, what do you want?
I don't like. This is not I did not approach this movie to enrich anyone's cultural experience. It's a popcorn movie. If you have fun while you're watching it and you get jump scares and spooky and ooh, that's effed up, then that's its job. Like, you will be unsettled. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable, and you're supposed to go at a lot of points. And if we can, accomplish that, we can accomplish that well. Because if it's a bad movie and you're going, it's not what we mean. But have fun. Separate yourself from reality for a little bit. Turn your brain off and get some scares in a way that you might not necessarily think you would.
Okay.
Ditto.
Ditto after the fact.
Oh yes, ditto after the fact.
So back to another fan wrote,
Okay.
or not fan, but another user wrote, are there any Easter eggs or hidden messages in this film that viewers might not be aware of upon the first viewing?
The biggest one is that in every scene, there is going to be a metal egret crane,
Yes.
which initially was a joke by Mark's grandfather, but as producer and creative person extraordinaire, I insisted. So yes, every scene has the same crane. Mark can tell you further why. I thought it was hilarious.
So,
Yes.
all right.
Mark will tell you why.
All right. So yes, we do. There is this crane, or as we like to call it, literally the bird.
Yes, where's the bird?
Yeah, the bird. So the funny thing is that in order for me to record or make a film inside my grandparents' home, my grandparents were in the process of moving down to Florida. They were originally from Chicago, and my grandfather, I talked to him. I said, "Hey, can I get permission to use your house?" And he says, "Yes, you have my permission, but on one condition." And I said, "Okay, what's the condition?" He says, "I want you to place this bird," and literally it was a metal bird that
it was like an outdoor.
It was like a solar power. Yeah, it was a solar power bird, and he wanted it in the film, and I was like, "You want this in the film?" And he's like, "Yes, I want it in every single shot." Little did I know, later on, he actually eventually told me it was a joke.
Oh, I knew it was a joke. I ran with it.
So he told me it was a joke later on, but eventually, when we told the crew actually made it part of of its everyday life.
It drove the director of photography. He like hated it because he's like,
yes,
"Oh,
yeah,
put
the
that
director of
stupid
photography.
bird in the shot." I was like, "No, go right here, like right in front. There you go, foreground, extreme foreground, hand from the bird."
Yeah, so again, there is the bird almost in every single shot when they get inside the house. Not outside the house. It was always inside the house. And a little funny story about that bird is when we actually started using the bird and we shut off I think it was like when we were, what was it, like the lights inside? What was it, the ceiling fan light? So when we shut off the ceiling fan light, the bird lit up. And all of a sudden, my cinematographer's like,
decorative light.
"What in the hell is that in the background?" And I go, "Oh, crap." And I went inside, and literally all the crew, including the actress, was just laughing their ass off that this bird was lighting up. And I'm just like, it has never lit up before.
I had to disconnect it.
Yeah, she had to disconnect. But I have to say, my grandparents had this bird ever since they lived up in Illinois. It has never lit up for them up in Illinois. So when they brought it down here and I put it in on our set, it just lit up, and it was just like, well, that's new. So eventually we had to take out the batteries and all that, and we just kept moving the bird around and
let's see.
the bird.
Another cameo, or I'd make a cameo at the very end. With
Russell.
With Russell.
You
And
are the GPS. You are the GPS.
Yeah, that's another Easter egg. What's another? A good prop Easter egg is that the easel, Mr. Painter's easel in the film, is actually mine and Tommy's actual easel. And keep an eye out for the studio logo. In the film, which is a TC. Looks like that. Not backwards though. Flip it in your mind. Russell wears a couple of Tommy's, like wears I think Tommy's tie and Tommy's painting overalls in one scene.
He also wears a button. So there's a button in the film that has the TC. It's on it's on 3 of our characters, which is the mover, the pest control employee, and also Mr. Painter himself.
Yeah. So there's a couple of Easter eggs in there. Can't think of any others though. Those are the ones off the top of our head.
Oh, and also on the mannequins. So we also have these Mr. Painter's victims that he keeps all their souls in. On the forehead is actually the TC.
Yep.
And then what else?
I think that's about it.
I think that's
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question, actually.
Yes. Also, just wanted to let everybody know who is in the stream. You can ask questions away. Just go ahead. If you want to ask. Just to let everybody know. So back to regular schedule program. So why make this film? Let's just go with that, and let's go with Mark. Kind of covered it through the other questions.
Yeah, let's pick it up.
What are some takeaways on working in this production? What are some takeaways in this production? Mark?
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of takeaways on this production would be trust, knowing who you can trust, commitment, knowing who can be committed to the project. Also, trying to do a little bit of making sure that I learn more before I go hands on, like skinning the side, skinning everything. I wish I could have learned more in my undergrad about directing, as well as more about the cinematography aspect, simply because in my undergrad they didn't really have that. That was only for the BFA. In the BA, they only taught you like theory and history and styles and whatever. And the only way I learned a little bit about filmmaking, whether it be like a script supervisor's job or any part of the crew, was just by doing other independent films, or even working with Tommy and Sammy on their art videos as being an editor. But it didn't really teach me to be a director. In order for me to be a director, it was more like learning from other people, or just, as Sammy said, learning as I go, and then skidding across, or getting some feedback from Sammy as well. So, but yeah, I would probably say that. Ditto. What about you, Sammy?
I will never do another college film ever again.
Yes. Oh, I forgot one more takeaway. Always, please follow the school's insurance. Please follow that, because I've recently had a problem. But it got rectified. So I'm glad to say that.
That's good.
But always follow the school's insurance. Always follow the school's rules and guidelines.
Yeah, I would say this is. I'll be honest. I've done a lot of different film stuff over the years, and this is the first time I've ever had to deal with like a college film and have be beholden to a CYA entity. But CYA means cover your ass. So that was really frustrating on my part through Mark, because again, I didn't directly, but I knew, like, okay, in the real world, you A, B, and C. And then Mark's like, well, we can't do that. I'm like, why? That's how it's done. So that was frustrating. That was the frustrating part for me. I've run a lot of projects over the years with various types and different, responsibility level of people, so that I'm used to people dropping the ball and having a plan B and stuff like that. So I personally wasn't too concerned with that aspect like Mark was, because again, he's got to learn this stuff. A positive takeaway from me was that, I got to kind of be surrounded by youthful energy, so to speak. Being a 21-year, published, working creative, while it's amazing, you do get a little jaded to what it felt like in the beginning, and having that excitement of being able to create something amazing. And the newness of it, I think, was missing for me for a long time. And so it was a lot of fun to be around that energy that all of the students had, where they were just excited to be on set holding a pole, or, moving some lights around. Like, they were just grateful and happy and excited to have this new experience. So that for me was really, really a good kind of change in my perspective from what I, had been used to since dealing with the death of Tommy 5 years ago, and then getting into the grind of a regular career. It was nice to get that injection of youthful energy, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my positive takeaway.
Yeah,
that's good.
And another, for me, positive takeaway.
Happy
This.
No.
No, but I do agree with Sammy. It was it was very fun to see, smiles on everybody. Sometimes there were smiles on everybody's faces when they were doing, like, learning a specific job. Like, for example, one of our crew members, her name was Ren. I mean, she came on the project originally as a PA, but then eventually she then went up to props, and then from props she went up to helping Sammy with the production designing. She also helped with a little bit of the makeup. She also got to learn sound. Like, that was her last. That was her last thing. Like, she was just so happy about. Like, we have a photo of her actually holding the boom and saying, "I've made it this far in this production." And even she also became a script supervisor when our main script supervisor Derek wasn't able to be on set. She took over that, and even also she became a stand-in for I think it was both Yumi and Asami.
Yeah,
as well as the mother.
I think the cool thing with this production, which could be a general takeaway for all of the crew and cast, is that, we weren't a big cast and crew. So, it came down to, we didn't have multiple people for multiple things. So there were some days where, our sound, our boomer, because there was like 5 Andrews on set.
Three Andrews on set.
It seemed like 5.
There's 3.
But he couldn't be on set, so somebody else needed to learn and take it over. So I think the general takeaway was anybody coming in and volunteering was able to not just do what they signed up for, but do other things like help with lighting or moving the camera or helping me dress the set, or, okay, we got to make this look good, so let's figure it out. And you also got to deal with the actors, I think, a little closer and on a more personal level. It wasn't like actors go over there, we do the set, and then they come in and shoot, we're done, they go back over. The actors, all of them very much were hands-on, like, what can we help you? Can we help you move this apple box? Like, they wanted to kind of be part of the crew as well. So it was once we hit filming, it had really positive and good energy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Next question. I'm done.
Yes. Another user wrote in. Which was your favorite scene to write / film? Let's go with Mark, because we're mostly involved.
My favorite scene that I wrote.
/ filmed. So
filmed. I do have to say, I loved when we did when Russell was
spoilers.
Spoil it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's your big.
Sorry.
You're just. Should we start calling you Tom Holland?
The Mark Ruffalo of our project.
You spoiled your own movie.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that was like the best part of the writing. It was
having talking. Mr. No, go ahead.
Well, let's go for now on. Let's go for now on. The main antagonist.
All right, the main antagonist.
I'm sorry. Main villain. Yes. Let's go with that.
Tom Holland. I'm sorry, but
we'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post.
Well,
we'll see that out.
Well, that was my favorite part. It was like him being in the garage, and that was it.
Don't keep talking, Mark.
Okay, I'm not gonna keep talking.
Quiet now.
Okay, now let's cut this.
Cut. Thank you.
Redo.
Let's redo. So only the people watching know what you just said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was my favorite part.
So my favorite part was the climactic reveal in the painting world. And that was a lot of fun to be a part of in film. I think actually that was one of my last days filming. When I had to leave set, that was my favorite, because there was a lot of like really sinister energy and a lot of makeup that went in, and everybody had a really clear vision. Alan
Ostrander.
Alan did the makeup, and once it was properly lit and it was on Russell, it transformed him as a person, which is what good makeup should do. And that revealing scene really, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, especially, for me, because that's, my dead husband on screen kind of. So that was, for me, that was a lot of fun. In terms of writing, helping Mark write, I don't know I don't know. I think since I wasn't super involved with this script, since there were 9 iterations, I think for me, script-wise, it was nailing down sort of the character of Tommy with Mark and Russell, because we did make a lot of script dialogue changes and things to make it feel more like Tommy, not him trying to play Tommy. Here's a fun Easter egg for whoever asked that previously. So Tommy Castillo, my dead husband, he's not alive anymore. Sorry, kids. Was 5'4", short Spanish guy. Humorously, Russell is like 6'2". So the joke with that is we would always talk about who would be the actor, that plays you in a movie about your life. And I remember Tommy always saying something like, "I'm going to get a guy that's like 6 foot to play me." So that fun, happy accident. There you go.
Wow, that was a really happy accident.
Mark, what was your favorite thing to write?
/filmed.
/film.
Right, question mark, not film. We can't trust you. You can ditto this one. I'll give it to you.
Well, besides I spoiled whatever.
We both have the same favorites. We both have the same favorites.
Okay. Yeah. We both have the same favorites, and but I do have to say, a little part of the ending actually. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah. Perfect.
Just a little part of the ending. I'm
Perfect.
I'm gonna stop my Tom Holland.
Cut that in post.
Cut that in post.
Please don't clip it on Twitch.
Perfect.
I apologize.
Ruins the whole movie. Clipped on Twitch.
The director ruined.
I'm sorry. It was just so good.
Here's the spoiler.
It was so good. It made me happy. Okay,
People need to watch the movie though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's our next?
All right. So, from the ones that I curated previously, what was the funniest thing that happened on set? Let's go with that, since we're in a giggly mood.
Yeah, there you go.
Who wants to go first? You go. No, I was gonna say you, because you have a better story with Christine.
What?
You have a funny story with Christine.
Oh yeah,
the Amazon.
So one of our PAs, she
Slate.
Huh? She was also.
She was also Slate.
Yeah, she started as a PA and then moved on. As did mostly everybody in the film. She is a volleyball player and like 6'1". She's amazing and ginormous. And I'm like 5'2". And we were dressing the set for one of the office scenes, and we needed to hang something. And she was just like 2 or 3 inches too short, but we couldn't find anything for her to stand on to get those extra inches, even on her tiptoes, like it was still short. And so it got to a point where, I just went over there and I picked her up, which is hilarious because again, I'm like this little 5'2" Shetland pony, and I lifted her like
Off the ground.
2.5 feet off the ground. I might be short, but I am mighty. And she was very surprised. Because I think at first she thought like one of the guys picked her up, and then she looks down and I'm like, "Are you done yet?" And there's all these guys, you know, just super shocked and surprised. I don't think they felt comfortable lifting her up because they were afraid she'd like pummel them. But that was pretty funny. What else? Boomer getting in the shots. The deer.
Oh yes.
Yes. So we were working in a lot of small rooms. You know, like 10 by 11 rooms, and there's like 7 people in there, plus the camera, plus the open shot. And there were several times throughout, and I hope we have it on the bloopers, where like the camera would pan and he's like, "I'm going to stand here for sound." And they're like, "Okay." And then the shot gets either changed or he doesn't realize the shot's going to go in that direction. And there was this really like heart-to-heart talk between Asami and her stepmom. And it's on the couch. It's a low angle. And it pans, you know, moving. And he just didn't know where the camera was going to be. And he was right next to them and it panned. And he's like, "Ooh." And the best part about Boomer getting caught in a shot was that he just stared wide-eyed, unblinking into the camera while trying to shrink himself against someone else and his pole while still trying to get sound. It was like we were in stitches. Just like it was hilarious because it, of course, was never planned, and it would just catch everybody off guard. So, you know, out of the room where, you know, me, Mark, you know, director of photography, we're all sitting, all of a sudden, Boomer's in the shot, and we just bust out laughing 10 feet away. But we let the scene continue because they're in the moment. They're in that intense emotional energy. And it's awful to tell an actor like, "Okay, cut." You just let him roll and then cut.
Yeah.
But those were some of the funniest things that happened on set.
Could I ask how many times did Boomer was like stuck in a shot? Like, was it almost every shot?
A lot.
Not almost every shot. Multiple every scene though. Well, there was it was more in this. It was more in the bedroom, like Asami's bedroom, because that was the smallest room we were working with. And like, you know, it's a 10 by 11 room. Plus we have this, you know, this bed plus a dresser. And then you've got the, you know, the red camera with its rigging and then 2 operators. Then you have Slate, then you have lights, then you have Boomer, then you usually have me in there controlling everything. So there was a lot of stuff happening. So a lot of shots in that room particular in various, you know, worlds. He got caught. So I would say easily at least 10 to 15 shots he got like whoo in. There's one, I think there was some in the kitchen. You know, there was one in the garage in the studio.
Yes.
Where we had, so there's basically the studio set, it was a big U. And the camera was usually always set at the back of the U. And so you're looking in on the 3 walls. So we were the 4th wall. Old school I Love Lucy trick, by the way.
Yes.
Which is why I set that set up the way I did. Anyway, the shelves made the 3rd wall. So if this here is the back wall, there were shelves that came out this way. And Boomer often would be like standing with the mic up or poking through the shelf. And there's some shots where you could see the mic and his arm. And I'm like, "You can't do that, man." Because it was a pretty dark scene and he was wearing black. The mic is black, but we would adjust the lighting and then all of a sudden there's like a disjointed arm with a microphone, you know? Or there was a shadow of Boomer like on the wall. like some 1950s horror movie, like, you know. So it was pretty funny, and I mean, like, nobody really got super angry about it, you know. But it was still pretty funny. I think it did frustrate the hell out of the DP, though.
Yeah, it
made me laugh even more. Cause like, it's not a big deal. We'll just reshoot. Who cares?
No, yeah, it was like waste of footage, waste of footage. Ah,
so funny. Anyway,
shots ruined, and it's like,
yeah, it's all good.
Funny thing. Again, there was still a lot of funny things. Like, for example, Sammy running out into the street while the car's coming in,
flailing my arms,
wailing, screaming her Gladys voice, and telling Asami, go back.
Well, as first AD, when I on set, I would often have to do a lot of the audio cues, and multiple times in the movie, Asami is called by her little sister Yumi, who is played by the super sweet and adorable Mila. Yes. However, I have a voice that sounds like I've been smoking since 1945, and I've been a six-pack-a-day girl since. And Mila has this cute, adorable voice. So, you know, it's like, you know, the cute voice, and I'm trying to do a cute little kid voice, and I'm like, Asami. But when you're doing that for like 6 hours a day, it gets a bit tedious. And through my live streams, I have this hilarious old lady voice called Gladys. And she sounds like this, like she's been smoking since back before the boys went home for the war. And on my stream, it's much more adult because, yeah, and she gives unsolicited sex advice. It's brilliant. Like you would expect a voice like that to give you. So I decided, because it was funny, to just out of the blue do that voice. So she had to hear Asami. And instead of, she had this it was, of course, during like a super intense scene where she had to be like all scared and look into the camera, and then I bust out that voice and she lost it. So what Mark was talking about was there was a scene with the family, and it was actually like, it's in the beginning of the movie, so I'm not ruining anything, but the family's rolling up the street in the car arriving to the new house, and you see passersby jogging, people in the neighborhood. And they get to the house and the movie continues. However, I thought it'd be funny if I sprinted out into the street, flailing my arms, going, Asami, turn back. And
of course
I pop out the mic.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody knew I was going to do it except like 2 people standing next to me. And I think what caught everyone off guard by that was, you know, I was the wrangler of the entire production. You know, there was a lot going on, and I was the one that had to keep everybody on schedule. No, this has to happen. No. I was the one keeping everybody accountable, and I was pretty no nonsense about it. You know, because a bunch of college kids getting into talks, conversations, I was a bit stricter than I think what would normally happen. So me just pulling that out of my ass and running down the street, it was supposed to make everybody laugh because it was a super hot day. We were filming hours in an unair conditioned garage, you know, buckets of sweat. We had to take breaks every 20 minutes. You know, a couple of people did not do well in the heat. And of course at that point, it was June, July in Florida in an unair conditioned
July,
garage.
August.
And, you know, we had to close the garage to keep the light out. We couldn't have fans on. So it was those garage scenes and outdoor scenes were pretty uncomfortable for everyone because it was just so hot. So I wanted to do something to, you know, unexpected to make everybody laugh. So I think that was, you know, I didn't want to claim myself narcissistically as the funny one because I just didn't.
Another funny thing is that, again, it involved Boomer. I thought it was funny.
I don't think I was
But
on set
Boomer,
that.
no, you were not on set that day. But what happened was we were shooting a kitchen scene, and Asami or Darby was supposed to be drinking out of a cup, and in the cup was juice, and all of a sudden she sees her fictitious parents, if you want to say, about ready to kiss, because in reality they're divorced. So what happens is she sees that, and then she spits. Well, she was supposed to spit into the cup, but instead she spit out and almost hit Boomer, who's laying on the floor like this. So it was like this spit was this close, and he just like woo,
Ooh.
woo. And then as soon as that scene ended, we're just like, Boomer, are you okay? He's just, I almost got spit on. And he's like crying. He's like, I almost got spit. I'm like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it was good. That was good stuff, though.
That was good stuff. And also the bird. Every single time we had the bird shot.
The bird was humorous.
Bird was humorous. Another thing too is that whenever Mila did her cutesy, creepy little ghost girl,
She was terrifying.
Oh, she was very terrifying. Like she would do this creepy laughter. Yeah, like she did this creepy laughter, and she goes, "You want to know where I got or learned my creepy laughter?" And I said, "Where?" And she goes, "I learned it from Build-A-Bear." But I'm like, okay, it works.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
she said that.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah.
Now you know when she does her creepy laughs, it's a Build-A-Bear laugh.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I was just like, oh, okay. Now I won't go to Build-A-Bear no more because now I'll just think of her. So, yeah.
Got any other
But
questions?
we have other funny
Yes.
stuff. So.
I'll do this as the last question tonight.
Okay.
For an aspiring filmmaker, this is by a user, by the way. For an aspiring filmmaker, what are some things you have learned about filmmaking during the whole process that I should keep in mind?
That's a Mark question.
Mm-hmm.
I will add my 2 bits after as a professional. But that's a good question.
Always try to be prepared when the unexpected happens. So, for example, if there was an actor who had to leave, and we couldn't finish the whole film without the actor, Russell, for example, try to be on your toes and try to fix the script as best you can. Also, be on the unexpected when it comes to a death. As a beginning filmmaker and student, it really got me off guard, so to speak, because I never really thought that would happen. And so as one point, like, note to take from that, just don't think it's your fault, because it was unexpected, and of course it was COVID. But try to do your best as much as possible to still honor that person throughout the whole film. And since Justin shot half the film before he died, it was best that I did my best to make sure that he was still there, even though he was not seen in parts of the film that he was supposed to be in. And it will haunt you. It will affect you, and it'll affect everybody in the cast and crew. I mean, the cast will, think that, maybe he caught it on set, even though we kept trying to tell him, he caught it off set. So just be prepared of the unexpected. Always plan your time wisely. Make sure you read the script. Whatever position you're in, read the script. And so that you would understand and not have the magic unfold in front of you. Know how to work in tight spaces. Where to put the camera, where to put the boom. You know, how to decorate your set with a very low budget. Because again, a lot of stuff that we had to sometimes reuse. Like for example, like the hallway behind me. We had to make this hallway. Yes, thank you, Sammy. We had to make the hallway look. What was it, like 2 different ways or something? You know, it
We
was
had to
like,
make the hallway look twice as long, and then we had to use the
yes,
hallway as part of another room.
yes.
We had to make it look like another part of a room. Yeah.
So I'll always try to figure out how to plan your spaces accordingly, and also make sure that you plan your time wisely with the actors. Again, even though a death is very rare when it comes to an independent film, because you don't really hear about that even on a student film, you always have to keep in the back of your mind saying, well, there's a pandemic, which hopefully there will not be ever again, but just keep it in your back of your mind that
Well, an emergency.
you might have to, you know, really plan your time wisely when it comes to working with actors, and knowing which shots that you can and cannot do if the actor is not available, and how to plan that accordingly. Yeah, but
So as you can
again,
see, a lot of Mark's advice comes from, the surrounding of the unexpected loss of cast members, because that was a big hurdle, as it should be, honestly. And it was an unexpected one for a student film. Practically, as a professional, a lot of what Mark said is, of course, good advice. But also communication.
yes,
Depending on what aspect of the film you're going to be, you said you're going to be a filmmaker, so I'm going to assume you're going to be a director of some sort, or a high-end creative of some sort. Communication. People do not know what, as an up-and-coming filmmaker, oftentimes you're going to be dealing with people that may or may not have actual experience. And at that point, you need to make sure those people are on the ball by constantly managing and checking up on them. You can't just give them a piece of the project and go, okay, do this, and then never follow up and go, is it done? And then it's not done. So you need to, directing is a lot of project management, and that's what a director is. It's not just the creative side of learning your shots and what shots are best this and why am I using a Dutch angle here. It's not just that. It's also learning to manage all of the people underneath. And as a small-time director, rather than in big budget films, you won't have a support staff of, multiple other people overseeing each department. So it's not just you and then your, executive team, for lack of a better way to say it. You're going to have to micromanage everybody down from, a grip to a PA to the costume designs. As a filmmaker, the best thing is to know everyone's job. You don't have to be good at everyone's job, but you need to know how it works. From sound to lighting to, grip to boom to visuals to camera. You need to at least experience every aspect or a project in every one of those jobs, because when it comes time to then stepping in as a role of a director or even a producer, you're going to understand what that role entails, and it will allow you to manage time better. Also, a big thing, depending on where you're at, in Orlando is pretty infamous. Central Florida is pretty infamous for having a lot of braggarts and people who talk a good game but can't deliver. Now, I'm not saying that everyone that works in film is like that, or in this area is like that, but there is a lot. And you need to really learn how to, pardon my language, but you need to learn how to see some bullshit. Because a lot of Mark's problems was the fact that these people would come and they saw, a chance for some quick and easy money and maybe to control and get more credit. And they would try to take advantage of Mark because he was new in the game. And then he got taken advantage of. And unfortunately, again, Mark's lack of communication with me, who is used to dealing with this kind of stuff, led to a lot of problems that didn't. So if you have a producer, an experienced producer or experienced director or somebody on board, you have to communicate with them, because if I don't know that there's a fire and Mark has no idea how to put it out, it's just going to burn. And it's going to burn until somebody tells me, or Mark, finally tells me that there's a problem. So communication with your support staff is huge in making a movie. And funny enough, you would think that this isn't a huge deal, but you need to have a vision for the project. You need to know what it's going to look like. You need to know what it's going to achieve. There are so many beginning filmmakers that come to me to do sequentials or storyboards, and they're like, yeah, this is my film. It's going to be blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, what does it look like? I don't know. That's why I'm coming to you. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that, because this isn't my film. What's in your imagination? Like, I'm good. I'm really good, but I'm not a fucking psychic. So you need to have a clear vision. And if that's creating boards, vision boards, pulling in resources, like I might want this, I might want that. It might seem dumb to say that, but a lot of my experiences working with people, especially in a creative field, 90 to 95% of the people I work with have absolutely no vision of what they want. They know they want A, B, and C, but they don't know, like, they got the idea, like, let's put A on the mountain and B on this. I'm like, all right, well, what else? Like, you have to give me more. And finding that out is and knowing that to your core, having a true purpose and having a true vision as a director and a creative, that's what's going to push you forward through those hard parts. And that's what's going to answer all those questions. Because when your set designer comes up and says, all right, what's the attic scene look like? And you have no idea, that's bad. But a lot of filmmakers don't really understand the visual creative part of it. I guess they just assume it comes out of, the ether, and boom, it gets blessed onto your set. So that's my 10 cents of advice.
Well, that's really great to hear for any future filmmaker out there.
Know your shit.
Yes. Then that's most important information. Know your shit. So.
Oh, here's the other thing. Thing. Most important, and this goes for anybody in anything, in any professional career. If you don't know the answer, ask questions and say, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Because if you're working with experienced staff, especially if you're beginning, nobody should expect you to know everything. I'm 21 year published. I don't know everything. So if you're unsure about something and you're an underling, before you do anything, ask. If you're the director and you're working with a team and you don't know, like, I'm not really sure what this set's supposed to look like. I kind of had this Lord of the Rings idea meets this. Ask for their input, and that will draw out more of a vision for you. So when in doubt, ask. The only stupid question is the unasked one. That's the most important thing, really. Next to knowing your shit. Okay, yes. I'm sorry, Pat.
It's okay. So that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you for coming on today. Next week we'll invite more guests from the cast and crew and put them on. I'll MC again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll hope.
We'll hope.
Right.
But yeah, thank you for coming on tonight. And
thanks for seeing the version 2 of our intro live.
Yes.
Yes. I learned from my mistakes.
More successful.
Yes, learn from my mistakes. So
that's all right.
Where can we find both of you at?
So you can find me professionally outside of this film project under my website is castillostudios.ninja. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. T as in Tommy, S as in Sammy, so TS Castillo Studios with an S at the end. And then, of course, I just started a TikTok, and that is Castillo Studios, I think. Yeah, Castillo Studios. If you see a skull with a TC and a bright green splat, that's me.
For me, I'm not that fancy. I'm sorry.
Handle the DV film stuff.
Yeah, DV film stuff. Yeah. You can find me on mostly Facebook. Just type in Mark Felbinger. The picture that I have is my 2 dogs, my 2 Shiba Inus. So you can always contact me through there. And yeah.
Yes, and if you want to follow the project,
please follow the project.
Yes, please follow the project. Follow now to the Twitch so we can get more views on this and get more of an audience. And also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at DV Film Prod or DV Film Productions. And yeah. So
if anybody has any questions, professionally, or about the film, please ask us on social media and we'll do little snippet videos of answering your questions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not that the marketing team knew I was going to say that, because I literally just thought of it as we were signing off.
We have the idea already on lockdown. So
okay, perfect. So yes. Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
I totally got the idea from them then, I guess. I'll give you guys credit for that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you and have a wonderful night.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.